You won't believe what happened when a lowly intern unleashed a faceless revenge that toppled a corporate titan in front of the entire boardroom. In this high-stakes revenge story, a silent underdog triumph ripped apart the polished facade of a tech Goliath and laid bare a secret empire for all to see. Imagine a faceless hero lurking in the shadows of a luxury skyscraper, preparing a corporate scandal that would send shockwaves across every business publication. Welcome to a thriller narrative where an unexpected protagonist turns the tables, proving that you don't need a name to command attention, and that justice can arrive without warning. As the screen fades in, you're plunged into neon-lit corridors where shadows cling to every corner. Flickering monitors cast sickly glows on polished marble floors as suited executives move like predators stalking unseen prey. Somewhere, a lone intern slips past security cameras, heart hammering in rhythm with distant beeps of door scanners. Glossy mahogany desks stand abandoned beneath opulent chandeliers, their crystals scattering fractured light that dances across darkened windows. In hushed voices behind closed doors, board members conspire over hushed dossiers, each whisper a ticking time bomb. You feel the chill of air-conditioned halls against your skin as hidden cameras capture furtive glances and trembling hands. It's a world built on polished facades, where one misplaced file or one quiet revelation can ignite a corporate inferno. And when the moment arrives, the silence will shatter, exposing every secret under the harsh glare of a single flash. You won't believe what happened when a lowly intern unleashed a faceless revenge that toppled a corporate titan in front of the entire boardroom. In this high-stakes revenge story, a silent underdog triumph ripped apart the polished facade of a tech Goliath and laid bare a secret empire for all to see. Imagine a faceless hero lurking in the shadows of a luxury skyscraper, preparing a corporate scandal that would send shockwaves across every business publication. Welcome to a thriller narrative where an unexpected protagonist turns the tables, proving that you don't need a name to command attention, and that justice can arrive without warning. The narrative unfolds like a cinematic blockbuster. Darkened offices, sleek glass walls, the muffled hum of fluorescent lights, and the tension of hushed whispers echoing down marble corridors. There is no on-screen personality guiding you, only narration that paints vivid scenes in your mind, forging an immersive faceless drama. This is a revenge narrative fueled by betrayal, corporate espionage, and the determination of an underdog who refuses to remain powerless. Keywords flash through your consciousness: revenge story, underdog triumph, corporate scandal, faceless hero, thriller narrative, secret empire revealed. Every nuance is calibrated to hook you instantly. Viewer retention, click-through potential, and shareability are baked into those first seconds. The question lingers: how did someone so overlooked orchestrate the downfall of a CEO? Keep watching to uncover the full roadmap of deception, strategy, and unmasking that culminates in one moment of undeniable truth. One late evening, as Layla stayed behind to debug a rogue sensor in the testing bay, an encrypted file popped up on her workstation. It bore Laura Myers' email header and a date stamp from 3 weeks earlier. Odd, since Lara's departure from AeroCore had been hurried and secretive. Curiosity piqued, Layla decrypted the file and found a series of unredacted contracts, internal memos, and detailed communications between Lara and AeroCore's legal counsel. The documents confirmed Layla's suspicions. Thorne had systematically derailed Lyratech's funding rounds, used non-disclosure agreements to silence Lara's allies, and inserted hidden clauses that transferred ownership of her intellectual property to AeroCore upon signing. Lara, desperate and betrayed, had refused to sign. In retaliation, Thorne had triggered contractual penalties that left her financially paralyzed, ultimately forcing her to shutter Lyra Tech entirely. Layla's breath caught as she scrolled. The evidence was incontrovertible. Emails showing Thorne emailing mundane board updates while behind the scenes orchestrating an all-out legal assault. Thorne's CFO, Geraldine Ross, had even forwarded instructions to remove key engineers from the project and redirect resources to AeroCore's in-house research division. Accelerate integration. Ensure external IP is absorbed by end of Q2. No exceptions, read one memo in Thorne's voice. Another message confirmed that any public acknowledgement of Lara's contributions must be suppressed. AeroCore would claim full credit. These revelations crystallized into a burning resolve inside Layla. Lara's brilliance had been stolen, her underdog spirit extinguished, and no one in the sprawling corporate ecosystem had the courage to confront Thorne. Still, that precise moment, Layla realized that knowledge alone wouldn't suffice. If she exposed these documents, AeroCore's security apparatus would trace the leak back to her in minutes. Yet to remain silent was to condone injustice. She needed a plan, a way to operate anonymously, slip through corporate scrutiny, and deliver the truth to the world. She sat still as the hum of cooling fans and distant footsteps echoed through the deserted lab. With trembling hands, she downloaded every incriminating file onto encrypted drives, uploaded copies to anonymous cloud accounts, and carefully erased her digital footprints. Within the next 48 hours, she would set in motion a faceless revenge that would strip Thorne of his unchallenged authority and restore a measure of justice to Lara Myers. And because Layla's involvement would never be discovered, it would remain a classic underdog triumph, a quiet storm that left a lasting imprint on the fate of AeroCore. At 5 a.m., the city was cloaked in twilight. Layla Chen navigated the empty side streets toward the AeroCore tower, her backpack loaded with hidden drives, forged ID badges, and a meticulously detailed blueprint of her infiltration strategy. The cold air bit at her senses, but her mind was focused on the enormity of what she was about to attempt. Inside her backpack lay a stolen pass card from a departing contractor, enough to grant temporary access to AeroCore's executive floor. She'd spent weeks watching daily routines through security camera placements near the side entrances, and she knew exactly when the morning guard would change shifts. To the casual observer, Layla's silhouette blending into the dawn rush might appear unremarkable. After all, she was just another underpaid intern grabbing an early start on the day. This was her cover, a faceless worker, unregistered by the corporate elite, yet essential to their operations. By 6:15 a.m., Layla had already bypassed 2 security checkpoints. She moved with deliberate poise down the sterile corridors, past rows of cubicles bathed in neon glow. The faint hum of servers provided a steady rhythm as she passed the data center, a place that once felt intimidating, but now was familiar territory. She carefully avoided the main elevator banks and took the service stairwell to the 42nd floor, where Thorne's inner sanctum resided. Each step echoed in the metal shaft, but Layla had timed leg lifts to coincide with distant clanks of machinery to mask her sound. At the 42nd floor entrance, she swiped her forged badge across the scanner. The panel beeped once, then twice, before sliding open. Her heart pounded, but she remained composed. Beyond that door lay the private offices of Maxwell Thorne, the place where his polished arrogance radiated in gleaming mahogany desks and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Astoria Heights. It was in these very halls that Thorne basked in the illusion of invincibility, and where Layla intended to dismantle him, piece by piece. Disguised in a plain gray AeroCorps-issued jumpsuit, Layla navigated the private hallway that led to the executive suites. She carried a compact toolkit containing a custom microcamera, an RFID skimmer, and a single-use smokescreen device, a tactical move to buy precious seconds if an alarm was triggered. Her mind raced through the final steps, accessing Thorne's office, planting the microcamera on his desk, and uploading the incriminating files to the company's internal broadcast system. She knew that at 8 a.m., the executive staff would assemble for their weekly leadership briefing, a chance for her planted camera to capture live admissions of guilt. As Layla approached the polished oak doors of Thorne's suite, she noticed 2 suited guards stationed outside, sipping coffee and barely paying attention. She took a deep breath, approached the interior door, and spoke in a clipped tone. Maintenance request. Urgent HVC calibration on side panel. The guards exchanged a glance. One shrugged. "Go on in, but be quick," he said, flashing Layla a weary nod. Inside Thorne's office, the soft glow of an antique desk lamp illuminated a life-sized portrait of Thorne standing triumphant beside an AeroCorps drone prototype. Layla closed the door silently, swept her toolkit across the floor to the far corner, and began her covert operation. She activated the microcamera and secured it beneath the desktop's edge, ensuring its lens pointed directly at Thorne's ergonomic chair. Next, she slid her laptop from within her jumpsuit pocket, keyed in a silent upload script, and connected to AeroCorps' internal network via a hidden Wi-Fi exploit she had discovered days earlier. Within seconds, anonymized packets of evidence, emails, memos, contracts, began streaming to every corporate terminal on the network, from the CEO suite to the cafeteria. A digital banner flickered on office monitors. Exposed. AeroCorps' dark secret. She exhaled, but her task was only half complete. Layla set the RFID skimmer near Thorne's in-desk card reader and snapped the microSD from her camera into her pocket. She needed a final piece, an admission from Thorne himself, captured live on the planted camera. But to get that, she had to trigger his presence in the room. That morning's briefing was her best shot. As she almost slipped out, her hand brushed the smokescreen device. She tucked it into her belt, an insurance. At precisely 7:45 a.m., Layla slipped into the adjacent corridor, emerging near the executive conference room. Through the tinted glass panel, she saw Thorne entering the room with Geraldine Ross and several vice presidents. They were discussing Q2 projections, but Layla's upload had already flooded their monitors with red warnings. Unauthorized data leak. Investigate immediately. Gasps echoed through the smaller offices. Thorne, at first bewildered, strode into his suite and slammed the door. Layla crept closer to catch any stray comments. Through a small side vent, she overheard Thorne's muffled voice. Patch the network. Now. Find the source of that leak. And Roland, seal off all external connections. Thorne's tone was cold, controlled, but tinged with panic. No one leaves this floor without clearance. Layla knew she had limited time before the security sweep began. She feigned a phone call to the facilities department. Her voice calm, professional. "Yes, I'm on the 42nd floor. There's a malfunction with the committee projector. Could you send an AV tech?" The 2 guards standing outside Thorne's office tensed, but one answered. "Maintenance? Now?" Layla replied. Right away. It's critical. We're about to lose the live feed. The guard's eyes narrowed, but he moved aside. Layla slipped back through the executive door just as Thorne stormed out, eyes darting around in search of the intruder. She pretended to adjust the projector cable, crouched low to avoid detection, and offered a polite nod. All good, sir. We're just calibrating for the board meeting. Thorne barely acknowledged her before disappearing into the conference room behind tinted glass. Moments later, Layla quietly exited the office and rejoined the sea of employees converging on the conference room hallway. The corridor was a cauldron of chaos. Executives typed frantically on smartphones, security personnel blocked stairwells, and a low rumble of speculation spread like wildfire. Layla melted into the crowd, her face impassive, her movements unremarkable. To anyone watching, she was just another intern who didn't belong in upper-level meetings. Completely faceless, completely expendable. But she carried the final spark that would ignite the truth. At 8 a.m. sharp, the executive briefing began. Under a veneer of normalcy, Thorne stood at the head of the sleek walnut table, only to have every screen behind him flash bright red. AeroCore transparent file drops. CEO involvement exposed. The digital banner slid away to reveal thumbnails of Laura Myers' emails, side by side with Thorne's internal memos. Shock rippled through the room as Vice President Roland Warner stammered into his Bluetooth headset. Sir, I'm seeing full contract drafts. There's no redactions. It's all there. The clauses, the IP seizure, the non-disclosure trap. Thorne's composure faltered for the first time. This can't be real, he said, voice low. But a hush fell as a second feed popped up. Live footage from the microcamera under Thorne's desk, proof that he had orchestrated every hidden clause. In crisp, unemotional narration captured in his own words, the camera revealed Thorne instructing his legal counsel. Make sure her patent is transferred to AeroCore. At signing, we'll absorb her project into our R&D pipeline. She's done. Gasps filled the room. Thorne's face drained of color. The LED projector displayed slides of signed affidavits that proved Laura's legal standing, and beneath them, in bold red text, a timeline illustrating how every board member had been deceived. As whispers spiraled into outright gasps, Layla had already retreated to a secure stairwell, her identity hidden by a simple face mask she had donned before infiltrating the building. She watched from a hidden camera feed on her personal device as security teams flooded the floor, locking down every exit. Thorne, now exposed, pounded his hands on the conference table. Who is responsible for this? He demanded, eyes flicking to Geraldine. But no one answered. The forfeited silence was deafening. With his empire laid bare, Thorne was forced to call an emergency press conference. Every major news outlet had already received the leaked files through anonymous channels, and stories began splashing across financial news sites. AeroCore CEO caught red-handed in corporate scandal. Secret empire revealed. Thorne's IP heist. Layla watched the headlines grow, but she remained unseen. An invisible force who had brought a corporate giant to its knees. In that moment, the incognito intern savored a bittersweet victory, knowing that true justice for Laura Myers had been served. The grand unveiling took place in AeroCore's glass-walled auditorium, perched on the 60th floor, overlooking the sprawling city lights below. Dozens of cameras from business news networks illuminated the room like brighter-than-day spotlights. Thorne appeared at the podium drenched in scrutiny, his tailored suit seeming ill-fitted now that every word he spoke carried the weight of his exposed treachery. The underdog revenge had culminated in a spectacle for global public consumption. Live feeds, pundit analysis, social media threads trending worldwide. Investors held their breath, waiting to see if the stock would plummet, faces drawn with concern and fascination. Layla, hidden in a darkened projection booth, watched from behind a one-way mirror. She had orchestrated every broadcast, every leaked snippet, and now witnessed the full ripple effect, a corporate scandal in real time. Thorne tapped the microphone, voice resonating across the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you humbled, perhaps for the first time in my career." His words were met with stunned silence. "I will not make excuses, nor will I attempt to defend actions that were misguided at best, callous at worst." Gasps and murmurs rose among the audience. Equity analysts scribbled notes, while Lara Myers herself sat in the front row, flanked by legal advisors, her expression a carefully controlled blend of grace and righteous indignation. When Thorne gestured toward her, the room held its breath. He continued, voice wavering. "Ms. Myers is here because I wronged her. Her micro-drone battery was a visionary breakthrough, one that I selfishly appropriated. I cannot undo the days when her work was suppressed. I cannot restore the company she almost built, but I can publicly acknowledge her as the true inventor, and I can commit to returning full rights and funding to her team, effective immediately." For a moment, the auditorium was suspended in stillness. Then reporters erupted into questions. Flashes illuminated faces, and microphones jockeyed for Thorne's retraction. Layla watched as Lara rose, stepped to the microphone, and spoke with a voice that rang like a cathedral bell. "I accept Mr. Thorne's apology, but my work goes beyond any single corporation. It's about changing lives, protecting citizens, and creating sustainable technology. I intend to use every dollar returned to me to launch Lyra Tech 2.0, a non-profit venture dedicated to humanitarian drone solutions." Applause thundered, mixed with the hum of camera shutters. Thorne's forced nod felt hollow. The crowd's energy had shifted decisively to Lara, the real victor in this underdog triumph. Moments later, Layla slipped out of the booth unnoticed, her face mask still concealing her identity. She exhaled, savoring the collective gasp of realization she had ignited. Watching Thorne's empire crack in half, as investors reevaluated their confidence, as board members faced questions from shareholders, felt like a storm unleashed. Yet, in the eye of that storm, stood Lara Myers, newly empowered, her vision finally unshackled. AeroCore's stock ticker dipped sharply, an unmistakable indicator of the fallout. But beyond financial tremors lay a deeper truth. A single faceless intervention had exposed corporate backstabbing, restored a rightful inventor, and inspired an entire generation watching this corporate thriller narrative unfold. In the days following the broadcast, AeroCore's PR team scrambled to manage the fallout. External investigations were launched, independent auditors sifted through Thorne's deals, and regulatory bodies prepared inquiries into potential fraud and intellectual property violations. Thorne resigned as CEO amidst the storm, citing irreconcilable differences in strategic vision. Geraldine Ross, the CFO who had helped draft the deceptive contracts, was suspended pending legal review. Shareholders filed class action lawsuits for misrepresentation of company finances. AeroCore's underdog triumph had morphed into a full-blown corporate reckoning, and the world watched as a once unassailable empire faltered. Meanwhile, Lara Myers launched Lyratech 2.0 with a lean team of engineers and ethicists. Grants poured in from social impact investors who recognized both her innovation and character. Patents were reissued under her name, and media outlets hailed her as the embodiment of underdog justice. Her first public demonstration, a live demonstration of micro-drones delivering medical supplies to remote villages, went viral, inspiring young inventors who saw in her a blueprint for success built on integrity. As for Layla Chen, she quietly disappeared from AeroCore's roster. Her internship concluded naturally, and she resigned under the guise of returning to school full-time. The company's internal investigation never traced the leak back to her. Security logs were too brittle, cover footprints too cleverly disguised. She left without fanfare, her role known only to a few confidants who whispered of a ghost in the machine who had rewritten corporate history. Layla resumed her studies, carrying an encrypted backup of the files deep within her personal archives, a silent testament to her act of faceless revenge. In the aftermath, AeroCore's new leadership, an interim CEO appointed by the board, attempted to rebuild trust. They publicized more transparent policies on external acquisitions and equitable distribution of IP rights. Recruitment campaigns touted ethics as central to the company's culture, a stark pivot from Thorne's cutthroat persona. Yet, whispers persisted among employees. We owe this to the intern who exposed everything. Layla's name was never uttered publicly, but her impact echoed through every policy change. For her fellow interns, the story of AeroCore's downfall became legendary, a chilling reminder that even the smallest cog in a corporate machine could harbor. In a world where corporate empires often operate behind closed doors, this faceless hero's story proves that one determined individual can shatter illusions and restore accountability. The legacy of Layla's faceless revenge endures. A once overlooked, intern-turned-avenger, wielding nothing but information, courage, and anonymity. Her journey embodies the ultimate revenge narrative, one where the underdog triumphs not through violence, but through intellect, stealth, and unwavering resolve. It's a story that resonates with anyone who's ever felt powerless in the face of systemic injustice, a reminder that justice can emerge from the shadows. If this thriller narrative gripped you, hit like and subscribe to our channel for more high-stakes, true crime-style stories. Drop a comment below to share your own underdog moment or revenge victory, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next expose of faceless drama and corporate scandal. Your support helps us uncover the unseen, celebrate the unsung, and remind everyone that when the stakes are highest, sometimes the greatest hero is the one who never shows their face.